All right, fight fans, welcome back for another deep dive. You guys are not going to want to miss this one. We're talking all about Alex Pereira and the path to a potential rematch after that UFC 313 upset. So many of you guys sent in these excerpts from an article about Pereira's reaction after losing to Magomed Ankalaev. And man, oh man, there's so much to talk about if Pereira wants that belt back.
Yeah, it's crazy because you have Pereira, who is a knockout artist, right up against Ankalaev, a master of control, and that clash of styles. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what made this fight so interesting. And honestly, a potential rematch could be even more fascinating.
it really could be. And, going into UFC 313, I think everybody was expecting, fireworks. Pereira is famous for his brutal striking those knockouts against Adesanya.
hmm
I mean, he had everybody on the edge of their seats, but Ankalaev had a totally different plan.
He did, and he totally shut down Pereira's striking right. Ankalaev's pressure, his cage control was just suffocating. And I
Yeah.
mean, Pereira did get in some pretty good calf kicks early on, which is something to remember. But, other than that, and like a little bit of a surge at the end in the fifth round, he just never really found his rhythm.
Yeah, and they just scored at 49, 46, 48, 47, and 48, 47. So a pretty decisive win for Ankalaev. But it wasn't just the win. It was the way that he won that really sparked the debate. Like,
Yeah.
he's a dominant, but, maybe less action-packed style. Is that the future of MMA, Pereira actually said, quote, people might say it's a boring style, but when a guy wins like that, others will try it too. What do you think about that?
I mean, he makes a great point, and it really gets to the heart of what makes MMA so exciting and so compelling because you have, on the one hand, you have those purists who appreciate, that technical chess match, the strategy of, just controlling a fight. And then on the other hand, you have, your fans who live for those highlight reel knockouts, those explosive slices. I mean, it's a balance, right?
Yeah, it is. And, as a fan, sometimes it's tough not to root for those knockouts. But
hmm
you got to think about it from Pereira's perspective. If you're him, how do you even get close enough to land one of those bombs when Ankalaev is just constantly pushing back, controlling the distance, threatening takedowns?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Ankalaev. His cage control is just so good. He uses these subtle little footwork adjustments, the threat of those takedowns just to keep
Hmm.
his opponent pinned against the fence, and it throws off their striking and he can dictate the pace. And I think Pereira even talked about feeling that pressure the whole fight.
It did do. So if a rematch were to happen, how does Pereira solve that puzzle? Because he has already said, quote, I'll be back much better. You can count on it. Never give up on your dreams, Chama. But what does better even look like when you're up against a guy like Ankalaev?
That's the question, right? That's what we're all wondering. And honestly, I think Pereira needs to just completely disrupt Arkelaev's game plan. We talked about those calf kicks earlier. I mean, those are working. He could really use those more strategically to kind of punish Arkelaev when he's coming forward, maybe limit his mobility. It's a way to attack without getting into that tight range where Ankalaev really shines.
But isn't there a risk that comes with just relying on those leg kicks? What if Ankalaev checks them or even uses them to take Pereira down?
Oh, absolutely. There's always that risk. I mean, Pereira needs to be unpredictable. He needs to mix up his attacks, keep Ankalaev guessing. And, he also needs to improve his ring awareness, avoid getting trapped against that fence, and maybe even, flip the script, try to pressure Ankalaev a little bit.
So it sounds like the rematch really comes down to whether Pereira can make these adjustments. And if he can, we could be looking at a totally different fight. But if not, I mean, we might just see Ankalaev's style continue to dominate.
Yeah.
I think this potential rematch could be huge for both fighters, and it might tell us a lot about where MMA is headed. Is there room for both styles at the top of the division? What do you think? Let us know. And thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you guys next time.